Hello, RedactedNPC. Just gonna cut in at the very beginning. I am so sad. I was about to re-record this episode because it turns out the audio didn't record correctly again, which means I would have ended up having spent almost an hour and a half talking about this, which ironically, in spite of this being a very short episode, would have ended up being one of the longest episodes that I've worked on, at least in terms of recording. But I'm just going to go through and I'm going to edit this so that it has the sound that it's supposed to have. Hello, I am RedactedNPC. Before we get started, there are two things I want to talk about. The first is that this is actually my second attempt at recording this. The first time I recorded was on October 17th. Today is October 23rd. And the issue is that the audio didn't record properly. So usually I've been trying to get these out every other Sunday, but that's probably not, well, we'll see. Today we're going to have a very short episode, so I might still be able to do it. Anyway, the second thing is that YouTube recently told me, hey, you can monetize your videos now. So I said, okay. And I went and applied. And then they said, no, you can't do that. Your videos aren't original enough. And it looks like you're just re-uploading the same stuff over and over again, or re-uploading other people's stuff. So not going to work for us. You could, however, appeal that process. They said, make no more than 5-minute video, upload it, and show us that your channel is, unique. So I did that, and I showed, no, there are 3 types of videos I make. There are the videos where I re-envision certain anime. There are the videos where I explain the changes I've made, and there are the videos that I used to upload. I don't upload them anymore, of myself and my friend playing. At least I don't upload those on that channel anymore. I upload it on my third channel. And YouTube said, nah, that's not representative of your entire channel, so you can try again in 3 months. So that's where we're at. Like I said, this is a very simple one. I wanted to commemorate the end of Attack on Titan. I had recently also heard the song that I used in this video, and so I said, okay, well, I can add these two things together. Also, Terraria was having its final, for realsies. No, I'm not kidding this time, guys. For reals, this is the final update that was coming out. So I used Journey's End in the title. I will say, when I originally heard this rendition of the song, I didn't think anything of it, because Final Fantasy X is the only Final Fantasy I've actually played. I've been told, oh, you have to go and play the other Final Fantasies, and yeah, I'll maybe get to them eventually, but in Final Fantasy X, and I'll go ahead and edit this so that you can hear what it sounds like. It sounds okay. It's not really my type of music, but in every other Final Fantasy, they add choirs and harps and orchestras and everything else that makes it sound so amazing. So this version is my favorite version out of all of them. So I decided to use this. Also, originally, I had wanted to use one clip from every episode to show what all has happened throughout all of Attack on Titan. However, I realized that, as you can see over here, episode 1 has way too many impactful parts that I can't just leave out. Furthermore, some episodes, like episode 16, aren't really as impactful. Essentially, each of these is more or less 12 frames. There are 24 frames in a second. You can see right here, 23 back to 0. So there are about 12 frames in a second. What you'll notice is that these aren't the exact same length. Like this one, you might be able to tell is a little bit shorter than this one. And that's because the frame rate doesn't match up with the music's rhythm perfectly. So I wasn't able to just copy and paste the length of these to each of these clips. I had to go through and listen to each clip and listen to the music and cut it off myself. Because if I just made these all the exact same length, then the video would transition before the music keeps up. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, my determining factor for what could make it, because eventually I was also getting to a point where, we'll see this later on, I had intended the music to match with certain scenes. And as I kept trying to add everything that I felt was impactful, I was getting further and further away from that. I wasn't having the music match up with the visuals that I had wanted. So I had to cut out a few things. So my criteria for what was allowed is you have to be able to tell what is going on in the half second that you see that thing. There are some things that are very vital to the story. There are entire conversations that are very important, but I don't have the time for that. So everything here are things that hopefully either you can tell immediately what's going on and where this is in the story, or they're things I thought were funny. There are only like 4 or 5 clips that I added because I felt they were very funny. Around season 1, episode 25, I started just skipping entire episodes because, again, they're very impactful things, but they aren't short enough for me to add. The last thing I'll mention before I get started is this 3-second gap here. I debated on how long to make this and whether I should even make it, but ultimately I decided to because I know that more or less I make my videos for myself because I feel like I'm the one who watches them the most. So I wanted it to be that when I rewatch it, it's to my liking. And I figured that rather than starting up the video and immediately getting hit with this, I would rather have a short pause that allows me to play the video and then set my phone to the side or whatever. And also sometimes I'll rewatch my videos on my phone. Whenever I'm dragging here, I'll grab an example video. Okay, so because I have Adobe After Effects open, it's taking up most of my computer's RAM and it's slowing down any other time that I use any other product. But anyway, when I'm using the seek bar on my phone and I drag back, because of my phone case, I can't get all the way to the very end. So usually there's a few seconds left behind. So I figured I would leave this also so that whenever I'm using my phone, I'm able to not have to worry about getting it as far back as I can. In the version that I uploaded on YouTube, you'll actually notice that there's an error with the music here. I was trying to hurry and upload this on the specific day that I uploaded this, and I, in fact, made all this, I think in maybe 2 hours? But there was some big event for Attack on Titan going on. I think it was maybe season 4 ending. This is back before we knew that there were going to be multiple parts to season 4. I thought there was just going to be the one part because I hadn't read ahead in the manga. So I was trying to upload this at that time and ride the hype so that more people would look at my video. I don't think that happened because I think this, at the very least, this isn't one of my more popular videos. It's not one of my most popular videos. It is one of my more popular. My videos, depending on when I upload them and where I upload them to, sometimes they get only about 15 views. Sometimes they get 600 views. So it really depends. Usually that's if I can catch Reddit's attention that I get hundreds of views. But it's not uncommon to get anywhere from 15 to 200 for most of them. This one, I think, at this time of recording currently has 900, but I digress. I was in a hotel when I was making this and I wasn't going to be back home for another week, so I had to use my laptop. And I hate using my laptop for anything because I hate the trackpad, the mouse pad, and I hate not having a mouse. I also hate having to bounce the laptop on my lap, so I never do that. I always put it on a computer. Whatever. I have a lot of things to whine about, but I don't like using my laptop if I can avoid it. Unfortunately, there was an issue with the file and I didn't realize until I uploaded it on to YouTube. And I was gaining some traction, so I didn't want to delete it because I was gaining some traction. That is honestly my only real complaint for this video, but I have debated about re-uploading it and remastering the video, but I think the only video that I would ever consider remastering is either episode 3 of the villain Goku arc or number 102, Future Trunks, The Time Traveler's Punishment. We'll talk about why that one's so special to me in the future. So, most of these I don't feel like I need to explain why I felt they were so impactful. If you've watched Attack on Titan, you'll understand why. If you haven't watched Attack on Titan, honestly, the amount of explanation that I would need to do for you to appreciate this video in its entirety would be too much. It's like when you're telling a joke and you have to explain why the funny part is funny. It doesn't matter how good of a job you do explaining, it's not going to be funny. But I do want to point out this one. When Attack on Titan Season 1 was coming out, I had heard all the hype about it, and there were, I think, maybe 5 episodes out at that time? No, I think there were 8. And finally I decided, okay, let me go and watch this. So many people are hyping this up, but people hype up a ton of anime. And honestly, you can find anyone who likes any anime and says that it's their favorite anime. They feel like everything's been done perfectly. So I was like, on this. But after watching the first few episodes, I was like, okay, this is pretty interesting. I know that one of the biggest things that people said is that it's such a dark story, and everyone says that about every story. And they always show Aaron's mom being killed. Spoilers, by the way. Aaron's mom being killed in episode 1. But I thought, that's pretty messed up. But the music is what really drew me in. So I said, okay, let me sit with this. Anyway, when I finally got to episode 5, Aaron died. He got eaten by a titan. When I saw that he lost his arm and he was so bloody, I was like, oh, that's it. They've killed the main character. And I went from sitting back in my chair and being like, oh, whatever. I sat forward, I did the gamer pose. I was like, hold on. What is going on here? They just killed their main character. Is this Yu Yu Hakusho? You can't just kill your main character. What are you going to do with the rest of the story now? I was hooked because, and I've said this before, I love when a story does something that I cannot predict. It's part of what made me so invested in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, because especially the first 4 parts, so off the walls, unpredictable, that after the first few episodes, I was all in. I was like, okay, you got me, Araki, you son of a gun. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what story you're going to tell, but I'm here for it. And this is exactly what Attack on Titan made me feel too. So I added this because I felt it was really impactful. I'm hoping that it was just as impactful for other people when they were watching it, but honestly, I don't remember. It's been years, and I don't think anyone talks about this anymore. But I was binging the first 8 episodes. So when I saw this, and that's the thing too, episode 5, Aaron dies. Episode 5, Aaron dies. Episode 6, he's still not back. Episode 7, he's still not back. Episode 8, finally, they bring him back. And it's very obvious that this is him. But for 3 episodes, I was like, yeah, he's just dead. That's it. I can't believe they've actually done that. They've just killed their main character. I do just want to point out that this is a very grim and dark thing for an anime to show, and I appreciate that. It really shows. That's one of the things I love about Attack on Titan. You really feel that everyone is giving their all, and it is a desperate, wailing cry of a dying animal. So many people are giving their all to better humanity, and no matter what they do, they are being slaughtered in the thousands. It doesn't matter. So that's just one of the things I love about Attack on Titan. This was one of the comedy parts that I was trying to add just because I felt like I was needless to say, hilarious. And then this Mikasa shoving the bread in Aaron's mouth just seemed hilarious. Kind of uncomfortable, but hilarious. And then this ended up being the thumbnail. I really need to get better about talking about the thumbnail in the beginning, but this ended up being the thumbnail, not because I intended it to, but because YouTube just randomly put that as the thumbnail, and I decided to leave it. This, I felt, was a very impactful clip for me to have the choir come in on, because this is one of the most famous memes that I'm aware of for Attack on Titan, especially season 1 of Attack on Titan. There's even someone on Reddit who has been making different memes, I think, of this image every single day for 1,000 days, not 1,000 years, 1,000 days, over 1,000 days, something like that. But anyway, it's a very popular meme. I felt like this would be an okay thumbnail to have, just because YouTube randomly added it. And I just sure, why not? I can't think of anything else to add. But I had to delete a few clips between this, and I had to delete a few prior clips so that the choir can kick in when this clip plays. Also want to point out, Armin looking up as Annie in her Titan form, spoilers, jumps over him is the profile picture for my second channel, my VOD channel. So this and this they gave me chills every time that I saw them, because I love whenever the hero terrifies the villain, and not that petty, the villain has been terrorizing the hero's party for so long, and then finally the hero shows, I can beat you up, and the villain gets scared and goes, please forgive me, and the hero doesn't even beat them a little bit, not even a small amount of punch, but the hero just goes, you've learned your lesson, that's it, and they walk away. That pisses me off so much. Beat them. I don't care if they're make them beg for their life. Beat them. They deserve it. I am so sick and tired of seeing the hero take the high route. I don't want to see that. I want you, not just one punch either. Don't just do one punch and they go, oh my goodness, you're actually strong. I guess I give up. No, beat them. Beat them until they're bloodied and bruised. Think about what they've done to everyone else. So I love whenever an anime does this. The main villain, she's terrified. She's running for her life. This reminds me of when Gohan was fighting Cell, and Cell, after getting beat so mercilessly, started saying, you're not a boy, you're a monster. That's what I want to see. I love it so much. I love it. Anyway, it's around this time, mostly actually at this clip, where I had difficulty hearing the rhythm. And so, like I said, the frames per second don't match up with the rhythm, and so I can't just duplicate the length of the previous clip. And it started getting more and more difficult for me to hear the rhythm, so for a few clips you'll notice it's a little bit off, but I was doing the best I could. This is the saddest part of Attack on Titan to me. You have a girl who refuses to leave her mother's side, but also can't watch her as she is being slowly devoured by a monster, and she knows she's powerless to do anything to stop it. So she just sits there and looks away, completely dead to the world around her, 100% traumatized, refusing to accept what's going on. Meanwhile, you have a mom who is telling her daughter to run away because she knows there's nothing she can do to save her. The two of them have been abandoned by everyone else around them. There is no greater sacrifice, there's no good being done here. The mom can't even be saved in the end. It speaks to the volume, the world building, that shows that there are people just like these two who are suffering greatly. And for her, she's fortunate. Sasha comes and she saves her. But there are so many more people who the hero never comes. I wasn't aware of this until it was pointed out to me. Bertold nearly transforming here in, I don't know what season this is. It wasn't until after he and Reiner were revealed to be, I think this is season 2, revealed to be traitors, that I came back. The comment section was pointing out, yeah, this was right here. He was about to transform and you didn't even realize. So I added it. This I thought was funny to add at this point when the choir is going, ah, just because it looks like he's singing. I don't feel like I need to talk about how massive Erwin's balls are. There are not enough words that I can use in the short amount of time that I'm allotting to this to describe how impactful Erwin's sacrifice is here. If you haven't already watched Attack on Titan, again, there's just too much going on here for me to describe. And if you have watched Attack on Titan, odds are you probably understand exactly why this is such a great display of character for him. I can't think of anyone, at least as far as I've seen, who hates or dislikes Erwin, but then again, the people who do probably get drowned out by everyone else, because I think he is the most, probably unanimously, let me try that again, probably the most, whatever, he's the most loved character. It's almost unanimous. That's what I'm trying to say. So molestation is bad. I'm just going to come out here with the hot take and let you know that molestation is bad, okay? But Armin getting molested here is kind of funny. So I know it's wrong, but it was played for humor and I laughed. So I added it. And that, and also the fat sun sitting on this guy's head, also funny. I know the manga readers were very excited for Zack's machine, and I also know that they were very disappointed in how the machine came out. They felt like it wasn't done the justice it needed because of censorship, but sucks. These two are probably the weakest two clips for me. Honestly, I wasn't really too invested in Levi's backstory. When they brought out the fact that there is an underground city, I felt completely blindsided because I felt like it hadn't been mentioned at all in the previous part of the story, and then I feel like they barely talk about it going forward. But the beginning part of Season 3, at least whenever it was talking about Kenny and it became more humans versus humans rather than humans versus Titans, wasn't as interesting to me. I was interested in the humans versus Titan despair. I still loved Season 3, and Season 3, especially the parts that are coming up, is still my favorite part of Attack on Titan, but this part just wasn't as good for me. I started debating at this part whether I should put this in chronological order of the story. So showing Grisha escaping, then meeting Carla, then having Eren, and then going on. But that's such a small part of the story. And I don't mean like it's not impactful. I mean like the number of clips that plays for that, the number of clips that I would have for that is very small. It's a small section of the story. So I decided to keep it as it was because it just seemed to make more sense. The salute here, the first few, maybe 50 times that I rewatched, not 50, maybe 20. The first few times I watched this salute always gave me chills, and I'm not really sure why. I think it's because it syncs so well with the music and it demonstrates exactly what I love about Attack on Titan. These people doing their best to take care of humanity in spite of everything that's going on. Although I think they eventually died because of corruption, but I don't know. This is what I'm talking about. All this section is my favorite part of Attack on Titan because I had no clue how they were going to get out of this. I had no idea how they were going to manage to escape when they were surrounded on both fronts. I'll talk about this more in a second. Okay, so, like I said, I love this part of the story because I have no idea how it's going to progress. I love the imagery here. I love the commitment to humanity. I love the characters. The only thing I don't like is here when Reiner should have died and instead pulls a BS move of, hey, I know I've never showed before that I can transfer my consciousness to the rest of my body, but I'm going to do it. It's never mentioned before in the story. It's never used again in the rest of the story. It really is just a random, we decided to kill Reiner, and this is just my conjecture. But it seems like a lot of people didn't like that, so we're going to bring him back and allow him to still be alive, because it seems like a lot of people like him. That's just how I feel like that happened. But the rest of this I really love. I also love how, at this point, Berthold perfectly matches the music. Beautiful. And then finally, I love this. Again, Attack on Titan has broken a lot of tropes. I don't like whenever a villain is about to kill someone and then one of the hero's party members or the hero goes, hey, focus on me, you big dummy. And the villain, instead of finishing the massacre and executing the person who can't fight back, turns around and goes, I'm going to focus you now. I don't like that. It's going to take you 3 seconds to finish depleting this person's health bar. Then you can turn around and focus on whoever is trying to get your attention. So I like here when they're trying to tell Berthold, no, don't focus on the wall, focus on us. And he ignores them because he's not an idiot. He's not an animal. He's an intelligent being. He's human. He knows that they're trying to distract them. So he's not going to focus on them. He's just going to turn around and continue his mission. I love that. I debated what to have for the music's climax. In this part, I thought about having Erwin's cry or maybe Erwin's death because those are both very impactful to the story. But ultimately, I decided to use the spinning Beyblade because I felt like it was the way that he came out of the mist, the smoke here, the flare smoke, really worked well with the music to really help to amplify the emotions. The rest of this is from season 4. At this point, I started trucking along because I didn't really care as much. Again, my biggest interest in Attack on Titan is humans versus the Titans. When they started showing that the Titans the monsters were once humans, it's very common. They started showing the rest of the world is in the industrial era. I don't really like the industrial era. I'm a fantasy guy. Then I was like, okay, I'm not as interested in this. I still love Attack on Titan, but I'm just not as interested in this. They did manage to start bringing it back around when they started talking about genocide, because that's pretty interesting. I haven't seen that before. But the rest of this, I was like, okay, I mean, it tells more about the story, and it is a good story. It's just not perfectly my cup of tea, that's all. So I started throwing together whatever because I was like, I already saw what I wanted to see, and I got what I wanted, so I'm good. Again, I just threw together the things I felt were most impactful. Eren becoming corrupted because he sees the future memories. Eren declaring that he's going to commit genocide, even though it's not taken too seriously. This was just, I don't know, I just needed something to fill it in. People really loved this. Again, Attack on Titan breaking the trope of waiting for the main character or the main villain or whoever to fully power up. Sasha's death. This I thought was a really cool shot, so I decided to add it. Levi once again having to deal with survivor's guilt, almost. How he's always the one who's able to make it through and the rest of his folk are constantly dying. The real enemy is you. People really loved this for some reason. I mean, I thought it was good, but people really loved this. Cheeks. Eren getting killed. Aren't you the one who started this story, Father? And then the reveal that Grisha didn't do it because he wanted to, nor was he manipulating Eren. It was the other way around. And then the realization that Eren was the mastermind behind the rumbling. And then, of course, I added this because this is at the end of every episode. It's been so. At least I think for every episode. So I just had to end it on that note. I'm realizing now, and the music just peters out, there's not much more to add. I'm realizing now I forgot to add the credits talking about, hey, this is Attack on Titan is the anime, and the music, you know how I normally do for my credits, but this is all just from Attack on Titan, and it's all the same music. It's Final Fantasy X Prelude. So, this is around the time I started leaving extra blank spot, or at least I tried to remember to leave extra blank spot for my end cards. The ones that say, usually I try and do my subscribe at the bottom right. I do the next episode, I do the previous episode, and then I do something related to this episode. But I started trying to do that more. So there's not really much more for me to add. Like I said, this is a pretty short one. I'll see if I can still get this uploaded on Sunday. Let's see. Sunday is going to be the 29th. I'll see if I'm able to, but no promises. Let's see what our time is. 32 minutes. 33 minutes. We took more time than I did before. Last time I did this, I only took 25 minutes.